Clerk, confirm whether we have quorum.
Honorable Speaker, quorum is present.
Okay, orders of business.
Order number 1, administration of oath.
Next order.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, papers.
Next order.
Order number 5, petitions.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Next order.
Order number 8, pronouncement of budget highlights and revenue-raising measures for financial year 2020-2021 by CEC Finance and Economic Planning.
Sachin, can do the necessary. Okay. Wasiri, you're welcome. So that you can present your estimate. You're welcome. Yeah, you can continue, Wasiri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a budget statement for fiscal year 2020-2021, which covers the period from 1st July 2020 to 30th June 2021. The theme of the budget is achieving sustainable and all-inclusive socio-economic development, and it's presented by CPA Alfred Lagat, who is myself, the CC member in charge of Finance and Economic Planning. Mr. Speaker, sir, the honorable members of the County Assembly, the residents of Nandi County, members of the Fourth Estate, distinguished guests present, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to deliver this statement and highlight the budget policy and revenue-raising measures for the fiscal year 2020-2021. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is a great honor and privilege to present the highlights of the 8th budget since devolution and the 3rd under the administration of His Excellency, the Governor, Honorable Stephen Sang, in accordance with Part 4, Section 102 to 186 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and Standing Order number 209 of the County Assembly. Mr. Speaker, before I proceed, allow me to take this early opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to the honorable members of this House for the support they have given me, the County Treasury, and the entire County Executive throughout this financial year. This House, Mr. Speaker, approved the 2020 Fiscal Strategy paper that was submitted in February of this year. This laid the basis for the preparation of the budget estimates for the financial year 2020-2021 by indicating the budget ceilings. Mr. Speaker, I also wish to thank more particularly the Budget and Appropriation Committee under the chairmanship of Honorable Walter Kiplagat Teno and the other sectoral committees of this County Assembly for the constructive engagement and support in the review of the financial year 2020-2021 budget estimates and the financing measures, as well as approval of the various policy documents submitted to this House. Mr. Speaker, the financial year 2020-2021 budget is set to be consistent with the medium-term development frameworks as outlined in the County Integrated Development Plan, that is the CIDP for 2018-2022, the Annual Development Plan for the 2020-2021, the National Government Big Four Agenda, the Governor's Manifesto, and other broad development policies and priorities. Mr. Speaker, the county budget for 2020-2021 financial year is special as it forms the midterm review of the second generation of the CIDP, the 2018-2022. The plan, whose theme is achieving a sustainable and all-inclusive socio-economic transformation, will be reviewed in due course and shall be tabled in this House for approval. Mr. Speaker, in February 2020, we submitted to this House the 2020 County Fiscal Strategy paper. During that time, our financial projections assumed a normal operating environment. The economy was projected to grow by 6.1% in 2020, which was an improvement from 5.4% in 2019. Mr. Speaker, this House considered our proposals and approved the financial and economic strategies in the 2020 Fiscal Strategy paper. On the contrary, Mr. Speaker, the budget was prepared against a backdrop of a contracting global economy occasioned by the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has disrupted most aspects of human life with disastrous consequences. As a result, in April 2020, the IMF projected that the world economy will experience negative growth rate of 3% in 2020. Mr. Speaker, overall economic growth in advanced economies is projected to contract by 6.1% in 2020, while that of emerging and developing countries, including China, India, Russia, and Brazil, is expected to contract by 1% in 2020. Equally, economies in sub-Saharan Africa region are projected to contract by 1.6% in 2020 before a rebound to growth by 4.4% in 2021. It is evident, Mr. Speaker, that the pandemic and the swift containment measures put in place by the national government, including closure of the airspace and the borders, curfews and cessation of movements in some counties, among others, have not only disrupted our ways of lives and livelihoods, but to a greater extent, business in the country. Mr. Speaker, our country does not work in isolation from the global and the national effects of the economy. Cognizant of this and the magnitude of the COVID-19 pandemic, our county government moved swiftly to intervene and implement a range of measures to mitigate the adverse effects of the pandemic. The county government established the Nandi County Emergency Fund with a supplementary budget to cushion her populace against the pandemic, outside other measures including the voluntary pay cuts by senior government officials led by His Excellency the Governor, the county Governor's directive to county employees to work from home except for those offering essential services, and establishment of 10-bed capacity ICU at Kapsabet and a 4-bed ICU capacity at Nandi Hills, as well as 56-bed COVID-19 isolation centers in Nandi Hills. Mr. Speaker, in framing this budget, we have taken into account recent economic developments on the global and the domestic scene. Mr. Speaker, despite the mentioned challenges, the county government recorded the following key achievements. Under the Department of Health Services, the county government has done the following. We've operationalized 4 theaters, that is 2 in KCRH and 2 in Nandi Hills hospitals, Meteite, and ongoing equipping of Serem Health Center Theater. We've established an oxygen plant at KCRH that is supporting all health facilities in the county with oxygen account. We've opened new dispensaries across the county. In a bid to realize World Health Organization staff norm, the department has managed to employ 300 technical health staff across various cadres, including medical officers, clinical officers, nurses, pharmaceutical technologists, laboratory technologists, among others, as well as another 200 healthcare workers under the universal health coverage in various cadres. continuously engage the development partners to improve maternal and child health and reduce malnutrition, including the recently signed Memorandum of Understanding with Nutrition International. We've rolled out the Health Management Information System that has greatly improved the management of drugs, revenue, staff, and service delivery in hospitals. We've managed to do a power upgrade at both KCRH and Nandi Hills, including installation of 385 kVA standby generator. And we've acquired 10 new ambulances to help in service delivery, referrals, and emergency response across the county. We've also operationalized the renal unit in KCRH and that is currently offering services. We've managed to greatly reduce commodity stockouts in the various health facilities in the county. Mr. Speaker, other ongoing works under the Department of Health include construction of 17 new dispensaries and completion of 13 stalled dispensaries across the county. The maternity wings, there is the construction of 10 new and completion of 13 stalled facilities, as well as equipping of 4 other maternity wings across the county also. The construction of Kapsabet County Referral Hospital. This is a flagship project which is expected to hold about 330 bed capacity once it's completed. We've managed to have 4 theaters, 8-bed ICU, 8-bed HDUs, and 15-bed cancer center, which will uplift KCRH to level 5 status, which is a great milestone that shall attract a funding of 400 million shillings every financial year. There are also ongoing renovation works at 22 various health facilities. There is also construction ongoing of trauma centers at Chepterwai, Kabiyet, Nandi Hills, and Kobujoi, which upon completion will avail 8 more theaters. Under the Department of Public Service and Administration, Public Service, and E-Government, we've managed to improve town and urban planning through construction of bus parks and well-designated border sheds in major urban centers. There's ongoing construction of non-motorized transport facilities in Kapsabet, installation of street lights and high-mast floodlights in major streets and urban areas within Kapsabet municipality. There is construction and operationalization of the county call center. It's a major milestone on Mwananchi engagement as well as a feedback mechanism. Preparation of a county public participation and civic education bill, which has been submitted to the county assembly for approval. We've constructed and operationalized a county data and ICT center. Sports, youth affairs, and arts. The government has completed the first phase of the modern athletics training camp in Kapsabet, while the 4th phase of Nandi Hills Stadium is ongoing. We've acquired and distributed 100 welding machines to various youth groups in all wards for socio-economic empowerment. We've trained youths in all wards on entrepreneurial skills. We've nurtured talents among the youth through organizing and hosting cross-county games, national leagues, and sponsored athletes to Standard Chartered Marathon. Other transport and infrastructure. Under this department, Mr. Speaker, the government has improved rural access infrastructure and mobility in the county by graveling 422 kilometers, graded 1,364 kilometers, and dosed 197 kilometers, constructed 9 bridges, 1 footbridge, and 2,306 meters of culverts installed. Under trade, investment, and industrialization, there is ongoing construction and equipping of textile apparels units in Mosoriat. We've completed construction of market stalls in Maraba, Kaptumo, Mosoriat, and with ongoing construction of market stalls in Baraton, Kabiyet, Nandi Hills, Namgoi, and Serem. There's also construction of various border sheds countrywide. There's provision of market sanitation by constructing ablution blocks at Maraba, Kabiyet, and Nandi Hills. There's construction of rural market stalls at Chepmursoi, Kilibwani, and Kabiamit. And furthermore, there are also 3 stalls which are nearing completion, which is Kiropket, Lesos, and Kaptel markets. There is construction of Juakali sheds in various places across the county, that is Kurgung, Chepterwai, Lesos, Maraba, and Kobujai. Finally, there is construction of a business incubation center, which is ongoing currently at Kapsabet. Department of Education and Vocational Training. There's ongoing construction of ECD centers, that is 2 classrooms. 13 are complete, 37 are at finishing stage, 9 are at roofing level, 21 at lintel level, 6 at slab, while 23 are being retendered currently. 7 vocational training centers have also been completed, with 8 others ongoing and nearing completion. We've purchased teaching and learning materials for learners in the ECD centers and the vocational training centers. We recruited 450 ECD teachers and 100 vocational training instructors. We've provided bursaries to needy and deserving students in the county, with 6,182 students in 2018-2019 financial year and 6,330 students in 2019-2020 beneficiaries. Agriculture and cooperative development. Mr. Speaker, agriculture being a backbone of the county's economy has our full attention, and various milestones have been achieved, including but not limited to the following. There is ongoing construction and equipping of milk processor, which is at 70% completion in Kabiet, where 7 containers with processing equipment from Russia, China, and France have been delivered. 17 cooling structures have been constructed, while 13 are ongoing and nearing completion. We've acquired and distributed 600,000 coffee seedlings, 50,000 tea seedlings, 17,000 avocado seedlings, and 17,000 macadamia seedlings to individuals and cooperatives. We've managed to acquire 8 farm tractors with assorted farm implements for enhanced farm mechanizations. We've also done 225 proposals have so far been funded to a tune of 82.2 million shillings for various community-driven initiatives under the NARIC program. 40,000 successful inseminations have been conducted under the subsidized AI program for enhanced milk production under the tag Tugatai. Mr. Speaker, sir, today's budget message is that we are once again at a crossroad where tough choices have to be made to achieve the development outcomes we seek, as well as respond to the following challenges that is affecting our economy. One is the budget deficits due to the revenue shortfalls in the 2017-2018 to 2019-2020 financial year, which negatively affects the 2020-2021 budget estimates. The effects of the COVID-19 pandemic leading to reallocation of resources towards its preparedness. And the county wage bill continues to grow due to promotion of healthcare workers and the scheduled promotions and salary increments as effected by Salaries and Remuneration Commission. Mr. Speaker, the key features of the framework for 2020-2021 budget include the following. The total projected estimates for 2020-21 financial year is 7.3 billion shillings, out of which 5,380,500,000 is shareable revenue as national government transfers, 398,934,353 projected as on-source revenue anticipated to be collected locally. The county projects to carry forward commitment in terms of works in progress amounting to 919 million shillings from financial year 17-18 through to 2020-2021 financial year. In the same vein, Mr. Speaker, the county government of Nandi anticipates to receive conditional funding from the national government as articulated in the County Allocation of Revenue Act, which include Road Maintenance Levy Fund, 160,365,516. Development of Youth Polytechnics, 27,919,894. Compensation of user fees, 18,086,363. Mr. Speaker, leasing of medical equipment of 132,021,277 is allocated to County Government of Nandi, but this amount is not realized since it is deducted at source by the National Treasury. In addition, Mr. Speaker, conditional funds anticipated from development partners as loans and grants amounting to 433,775,389 include the following. The World Bank funds and loans. 45 million shillings will be received under the Kenya Devolution Support Project, which is level 1 grant meant for capacity building on the key 5 result areas identified under the participation agreement. 102,150,272 under health sector for transforming health systems, and 197,907,900 for National Agricultural Rural Inclusive Growth Project, that is NARIC, for various agricultural initiatives targeting various community organized groups. We have European Union Water Towers Program, which aims at environmental conservation initiatives and has indicated an allocation of 60 million shillings for Nandi for financial year 2020-2021. The Danida program is scheduled to phase out in the financial year 2020-2021. The program, Mr. Speaker, has had immense impact on the county health sector and has allocated 15.2 million shillings to the county government as a final allocation before the program is wound up. The Swedish government, under the ASDSP program under Agriculture Department, anticipates to receive 12,838,123 to undertake various food chains promotion initiatives in the country. Mr. Speaker, a new development partner, that is Nutrition International in Nandi County, has interest in Nandi County to support nutrition activity initiatives and capacity building with counter funding arrangements, where in this budget I have proposed 10 million shillings under the Department of Health. Honorable Speaker, the source envelope given above, expenditure is allocated as follows. 1. The development constitutes 2,438,933,288, representing 33.17% of the total projected revenue. This is in compliance with the PFM Regulation 2015 requiring county annual budget allocation for development of at least 30% of total projected revenues. The departments with high development allocations include agriculture and cooperative development, health and sanitation, transport and infrastructure, with the county assembly allocated 85 million shillings for its development program. Recurrent expenditure constitute the following: personnel emoluments, which is allocated 3,845,956,683, representing 54%, which is way above the recommended 35% threshold. This affects negatively on operations and maintenance, which has been allocated 1,091,079,909, which stands at 15% of the total estimates. The total recurrent expenditure, Mr. Speaker, includes 640,635,672 allocated to the county assembly. The revenue raising measures. Mr. Speaker, over the 2019-2020 fiscal year, the county government has not realized major growth in revenues as anticipated due to various unforeseen challenges, resulting in shortfalls on revenue projections. The county local revenue targets may not be optimally met, majorly due to persistent non-remittance of sales by the multinational tea estates and land rates after the county assembly approved the Finance Bill 2019-2020 with increased rates, hence escalating to court cases, which has dealt a great blow on local revenue targets, which was actually a major source of revenue to our county. Other revenue sources, Mr. Speaker, include single business permits, parking fees, market fees, among other revenue lines, have been seriously hampered by the closure of businesses, eateries, and open-air markets occasioned by the outbreak of the coronavirus, resulting in slowed economic activities. Mr. Speaker, the National Treasury has indicated the intent to revise downwards the shareable revenue and conditional grants from national government and development partners due to the challenges forced by the aforementioned pandemic on the national economy, and has forced the government to adjust the tax rates to cushion mwananchi and businesses against the effects of the disease. This has led to revenue shortfalls from the national tax, thus negatively affecting the exchequer issues to the counties, which are grappling and putting up measures in readiness to respond to the pandemic. Mr. Speaker, the county government is committed to ensuring prudent expenditures from recurrent and development towards improving productivity and service delivery. The revenue section will institute the following measures to expand revenue base and eliminate any leakages. One is to ensure enhanced compliance levels due to commitment of staff and the recently acquired revenue vehicles. We'll seal revenue leakages through increased automation of revenue collection, including the recently rolled out health management information systems to manage revenue collection in the health sector. The health management information systems has actually seen hospitals from revenue increase from 50 million to 117 million. Number 3, precision enforcement aided by the revenue systems in place. Enhanced citizen awareness creation on the need to support government projects and the content of the Finance Bill 2020. And lastly, instituting measures to combat evasion of revenue payment. The highlights of the budget expenditure. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to strengthen expenditures, controls, and improve the efficiency of public spending through public financial management reforms in order to free fiscal space for priority socioeconomic investments. In particular, Mr. Speaker, we plan to address the challenges we face in project identification, preparation, and execution, which have been responsible for delays, cost overruns, and pending bills. Towards this end, we shall strengthen systems at the county treasury to improve the management and budgeting of public development projects. Mr. Speaker, the county's revenue resource envelope tends to dictate and inform allocation of the scarce resources to priority programs with greater impact and benefit to greater masses of county population. I have in these estimates, therefore, prioritized investing in the following. Number 1, reconsidered funding to actualize programs budgeted for in the 1920 budget, which could not be realized due to shortfalls in revenue targets and exchequer releases, as well as funding the multi-year flagship projects, which include the County Referral Hospital with Mother and Child Unit, the Milk Processing Plant and Textile and Apparel Unit, which are the county's initiatives at realization of the National Big Four agenda. Completion and operationalization of programs and projects funded in the previous years but not complete and functional, as opposed to starting new projects as directed by the National Treasury. Payment of pending bills as per the County Task Force report on pending bills, as well as the directive from the National Treasury. Mr. Speaker, consistent with the objective of allocating an increasing share of revenue towards the development activities, the county government has prioritized investing in the following thematic areas: promoting universal access to basic social amenities for improved living standard. Mr. Speaker, access to affordable and quality education, health services, safe water and infrastructure are not only basic but constitute fundamental constitutional rights. These in most cases constitute development index that determines economic prosperity of any nation. Mr. Speaker, health sector has prioritized programs that aim at achieving accessible universal health care, which is one of the government's Big Four agenda. To enhance access to affordable and quality healthcare services in the county, I have provided in this budget 119 million shillings for the completion of the ongoing construction of the new hospital complex with mother and baby unit in Kapsabet, 50 million shillings for offsetting of the pending bills, and an additional 288 million shillings as works in progress for completion of the ongoing works for financial year 2018-2019 and 2019-2020. Mr. Speaker, the county government will continue enhancing transport and infrastructure so as to address the gaps therein, improve quality of our roads, and reduce the cost of transportation. In order to achieve this, I have allocated a total of 10 million to acquire MARAM sites, 30 million for hire and lease of equipment, 30 million for fuel for roadworks, and 10 million for construction of bridges and culverts across the county. In addition to this, Mr. Speaker, this budget sets aside 27 million shillings for payment of pending bills and another 167 million shillings for completion of ongoing road construction projects as work in progress. Mr. Speaker, the county has also been allocated 160 million shillings, 365,516 from Kenya Roads Board as Road Maintenance Levy Fund for improvement of the road network. Mr. Speaker, improving the quality of our ECD and technical education is at the heart of our commitment. Our objective of improving ECD is to facilitate quality, affordable, and accessible basic education to our children. Mr. Speaker, we therefore intend to transform our vocational centers to promote development of skills for our people, particularly the youth, to improve their competitiveness in the job market and provide self-reliance and thus create employment and generate income. Mr. Speaker, to realize this, we focus on improving access by financing through allocation of bursaries, upgrading and equipping the centers with modern teaching and learning resources. We shall continue to increase resources for ECD, early childhood development. Mr. Speaker, I have allocated 8 million shillings for completion of ECD classrooms under the historical works that were pending. 14 million shillings for completion of ECD centers under the 17-18 works, and 1.5 million shillings for equipping of 78 ECD centers with teaching and learning materials. In the same vein, Mr. Speaker, this budget provides 30 million for bursaries, 26 million for offsetting of pending bills, and an allocation of 109 million shillings as works in progress for completing of ongoing works funded in 18-19 and 19-20 financial years in the department. The county will also receive 27 million shillings, 894 from the national government as grants for development of youth polytechnics. Honorable Speaker, to enhance access to clean, quality and safe water, high-quality sewerage services and conserving environment, including promoting sustainable utilization of natural resources, I proposed an allocation of 75 million shillings for construction and operationalization of various water projects in the county, 2.7 million shillings for wetland conservation, environmental protection, mapping and tree planting in the county, 15 million shillings for development of the county special plan, 10 million shillings as subsidy to Kanawasco, 15 million shillings for fuel and lubricants for drilling rigs, 2 million shillings for development of a county waste management strategy, 1 million for establishment of a county climate change fund, and 172 million shillings for works in progress, and a further 64 million shillings for the offsetting of pending bills in the department. Mr. Speaker, we also anticipate to receive 60 million shillings under the European Union Water Program as conditional grants. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to work with our stakeholders in promoting effective land management, improving safety of our urban centers, and promoting reliable urban infrastructure and services, among others. Towards this end, Mr. Speaker, this budget provides 1.5 million shillings for completion of Mosoria Bus Park, 13.5 million shillings towards the county data and call center, 3.8 million shillings for acquisition of modern waste receptacles, and an additional 36 million shillings towards completion of ongoing works under the Department of Administration, Public Service, and E-Government. Towards realization of food and nutritional security, employment, and wealth creation for sustainable economic prosperity, Mr. Speaker, agriculture sustains not only our economy but also the livelihoods of our people, especially in rural areas. Mr. Speaker, all policies under the Department of Agriculture have been aligned towards increasing food production and boosting of smallholder productivity in line with the Big Four agenda, which aims at alleviating the populace from food poverty. During the financial year 2020-2021 and over the medium term, the focus will be on the operationalization of milk cooling structures which are currently under construction and installing milk cooling plants, in addition to investing more on equipping of the county milk processing plant, which is a county flagship project. Mr. Speaker, this is expected to mitigate produce losses, promote high production, enhance value addition, and increase household proceeds from milk. This will be supported by investing more in the subsidized AI services to enhance milk production as a prerequisite for optimal realization of the milk coolers and processors' capacity volumes. To enhance food and nutrition security and modernize agriculture, I have allocated 36 million shillings for phase 3 of the milk processing plant at Kabiet, which has a potential of attracting support from other development partners, being one of the flagship projects. 20 million shillings for veterinary services, that includes 10 million for AI and 10 million for purchase of vaccines and sera. Both the SDSP and NARIC programs with counties' contributions counterpart funds of 5.5 million and 13 million shillings attracts a support of 12 million and 197 million shillings respectively to the county. In addition, Mr. Speaker, I also propose an allocation of 228 million shillings and 7.2 million shillings for works in progress and pending bills respectively. Mr. Speaker, trade, investment are key drivers of our economy growth, given their potential for wealth, employment creation, as well as poverty reduction. As such, the government, under the leadership of His Excellency Governor Sang, is keen on creating a conducive and enabling business environment to attract and incentivize development partners from private sector, international arena, and across the economy to invest in Nandi, with a target of creating thousands of job opportunities to the youth of Nandi and the overall growth of the economy while harnessing revenue. I have allocated 5 million shillings for construction of fresh produce and open air markets, 5 million shillings for equipping of Juakali sheds, 4.3 million shillings for construction of ablution blocks at various markets for sanitation purposes. I have further allocated 15 million shillings for equipping of the textile and apparel unit, 7 million for construction of border sheds across the county, 23 million shillings for payment of pending bills, and another 43 million for completion of ongoing works in the Department of Trade, Investment and Industrialization. Social protection and equity through empowerment and safety nets. Mr. Speaker, we envision a society that is equitable. To address the issues of disparity in income and access to economic opportunities, we propose pro-poor strategies by reducing while mainstreaming gender. Mr. Speaker, the economic effects of tourism extends well beyond our borders. The trickle-down effect has an instant economic gain for the local people through spending by the tourists. To ensure competitiveness and attraction of both domestic and international visitors, we're committed to investing more in this sector. Going forward, Mr. Speaker, the government, in partnership with the key stakeholders, will continue to promote and develop tourism, conserve county heritage, and enhance integration, cohesion, patriotism, and promote a vibrant arts culture. Hence, I have proposed an allocation of 3 million for the development of Nandi Rock site, 2 million for acquisition and distribution of assistive devices, 22 million shillings and 5 million for works in progress and pending bills, respectively, in the Department of Tourism, Culture and Social Welfare. In the Department of Sports, Youth Affairs and Arts, Mr. Speaker, I propose an allocation of 4 million shillings for fencing of Eliud Kipchoge Complex, 1 million for maintaining of sports stadium in Nandi Hills and Kapsabet, 17 million for offsetting of pending bills, and an additional 50 million as works in progress for completion of ongoing works funded in 18-19 and 19-20 financial year. Mr. Speaker, let me now turn to the fiscal policy and budget framework for the 2020-2021 budget and the medium term. But first, let me send a message to citizens that they should demand accountability to ensure funds are utilized to their intended purpose. Mr. Speaker, the fiscal year policy in 2020-2021 budget will continue to support poverty reduction efforts while undertaking the functions of county government within a context of sustainable financing. The fiscal policy therefore focuses on strengthening internal revenue collection, containing growth of total expenditure while ensuring a shift in the composition of expenditure from recurrent to capital, and ensuring a significant shift in resource allocation towards county priority socioeconomic sectors. Mr. Speaker, our government continues to invest in improving the financial capability of our county treasury. If we make progress in local financial management, we will transform the lives of our citizens through improved service delivery. In the period ahead, the county treasury, in collaboration with other departments, have agreed to focus efforts on the following: targeted supply chain management interventions to improve compliance with the law, achieve timely and effective procurement and delivery of goods and services, realize value for money through cost-saving measures and combating fraud, enhanced revenue management, including appropriate tariff setting, regular billing, and effective collection systems. Mr. Speaker, to strengthen the county capacity to manage public finances, human resources and performance management, public participation and civic education, implementation of county plans, and promotion of environmental and social safeguards, we shall receive 45 million shillings as a grant from the World Bank through national government under the Kenya Devolution Support Program. Mr. Speaker, the county government will continue to establish the framework and policies that will guide effective operationalization of the county. The County Audit Committee has already been appointed and inaugurated by His Excellency the Governor, and is expected to improve budget implementation performance and boost the work done by the county's internal audit unit. On austerity measures, Mr. Speaker, improving the quality of public services and cutting waste. Honorable members, this is a budget in which circumstances dictate that we cannot add resources to the overall spending envelope. The emphasis is in ensuring that expenditure is allocated efficiently, minimizing waste and preventing corruption. So the potential source of fiscal risk. Mr. Speaker, in implementing this budget, we expect to be confronted by both internal and external risks that we must be cognizant and adopt mitigating policy measures. The following: a shortfall in revenue targets. Internally, there is public expenditure pressure, particularly wage-related recurrent expenditures, effects of the coronavirus, delayed release of funds by the national government, low technical capacities in some county departments to implement the budget within the fiscal year, the low fiscal capacity by the department, of course, to implement the budget that is to do with the human resource. Mr. Speaker, the budget I have presented to you has been carefully prepared to balance the difficult choices we had to make in order to move this county forward. I believe we have made the right decisions that will propel this county to great heights. Despite our limited resources, Mr. Speaker, we have considered optimal allocation of resources to poor programs, especially in the areas of health, water, social protection, education, food security, and infrastructure. The budget is also inclusive and promotes shared prosperity in light of resources allocated to social development. Mr. Speaker, the initiatives conducted by the county government so far have borne fruit, and the people of Nandi are regaining hope and confidence. However, we are now entering the most critical phase of both economic revitalization and fiscal consolidation. The key to achieving these goals is for every member of this county to put their wisdom to use and work together to allow the county potential to bloom and overcome the challenges of economic shrinking experienced locally, regionally, and globally. I strongly commit to fully devote myself to tackling the challenges with a resolve not to back down. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, I wish to pass my sincere gratitude to all the residents of Nandi from all walks of life, without forgetting the various development partners for their support and contribution in the budget preparation and implementation. I sincerely ask for the continued understanding and cooperation of all the stakeholders as we collectively strengthen our economy and deliver prosperity to our beloved county. Mr. Speaker, therefore, I submit to this House the budget estimates for consideration of the above proposal. The earliest possible approval of the budget is necessary in order to achieve the economic revitalization and fiscal consolidation. I therefore request that this House deliberates on the budget and promptly gives its approval. Asante sana, God bless Nandi, and God bless Kenya. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Wasiri. You receive thank you. Now, Wasiri, you are free to leave because you are now a stranger in this room. And members, I think we've received the pronouncement of the budget list and the revenue from the Wasiri. And I think the members of the budget, you will conclude your report writing so as you table the same report on Wednesday morning at 9:30 a.m. So members, being no any other business, next day. Next order. I've said members will meet on Wednesday at 9:30, and the members for the budget must have tabled by Wednesday in the morning so as the House business to slot time for the same to be debated in the House. So, next order.
Order number 9, adjournment.
So, being no any other business, also adjourn.